Oh, I know. One thing you can talk about is the the binder. We didn't really talk about the binder,
Yeah, we're
and
going to go through it.
well, some people were wondering if it went with the PowerPoint, so trying to find stuff.
Oh,
So
oh
if you
yeah.
can, yeah, if you can talk about it a little more.
Yeah, we'll do that first if you want.
Okay,
Tell me when we start.
we can start.
Okay, sir. Everybody get your handout, the one we provided you today or previously.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about the binder though, if that's all right. Here, here. Okay.
Everybody got it? If you would, open it up, please. The first page is sort of a table of contents, more or less. But since there are no page numbers, it's not terribly useful, but it can still help out a little bit. So we'll turn that first page out of the way because it's, like I said, it's a table of contents. There's a little bit of a author's note on the second page. And what it says is this is part of a book that we're writing. So we ask you not to make copies and distribute it to other people. Also, we don't want you to ever take things that we give you and give them to people we haven't trained. Because what comes with these pages and others is lecture and information that may or may not get conveyed with the paper. So we ask you to keep these things for your own use. So now we should be at a page titled Single Action Revolver for Woods Carry. Is everybody on that page? All right. The people that I would most suggest carry a single action revolver for self-defense in the woods, cowboy action shooters. Cowboy action shooters go out about almost every Saturday and shoot a match, and they use 2 single action revolvers throughout the match. And they do this year after year. These guns are like an extension of their will. So people that have that kind of expertise and that kind of skill, that kind of familiarization with a particular system, it would make sense if they use that system in a life-threatening situation. So this page just talks about some of the advantages, which I've already mentioned, of the single-action revolver. They come in a variety of calibers. They're very rugged. They tend not to break. They tend to be a little more dependable than a double-action revolver. The biggest drawback is it takes a while to load or reload them. Yes? Got to open the gate, extract all the empty casings, and then recharge the chambers. That takes a while. The joke that we've told, you've probably heard many times, but when the young deputy is working a car with the senior deputy or the sheriff, the deputy's carrying a Glock, and he says to the sheriff, "Why are you carrying that old revolver? That's so antiquated, it's obsolete, and it takes forever to reload it." And the senior deputy says, "Well, you know, kid, I've found that every time I kill 5 or 6 men, I always have lots of time to reload after that." Come on, guys, it's supposed to be funny. Jeez, you're a tough class, I'll tell you what. Anyway, single action revolver is pretty much Samuel Colt came up with in about 1837, somewhere right around there. By the way, just for your information, a revolver is a pistol. People will tell you, if you call a revolver a pistol, people will jump all over you and say, automatics are pistols, revolvers are just revolvers. Sam Colt named his invention a revolving pistol. So I'm going to go with Sam Colt on this one. Pistol initially was an Italian word that means a firearm that's designed to be shot with one hand. So whether it's a single shot pistol, a revolver, or semi-auto, or whatever, if it was designed to be shot with one hand, it's a pistol. So don't let people corner you on that one. Now we hope you'll actually go through and read this at some point. There's a ton of good information in here, and there's a lot of comparisons that you're not going to find anywhere else. See, on about the third page, it starts out, the first word is gel. A hot 10 millimeter cartridge will deliver about 700 foot-pounds of energy. 454 will exceed twice that. 454 shoots a bullet of the same caliber as the 45-70 Buffalo rifle. One of the things we did, we tried to do it here, people would say, well, is it legitimate for me to carry a single action revolver as a woods gun for self-defense in the woods? So what we try to do is go list the pros and cons and compare it to other weapons and make your own decision. So I certainly think that if you're skilled, and you may be more skilled with one particular system. How many of you have had professional firearms training before you came to us? Anybody? Where'd you go?
It's staccato extension.
Formerly known as front sight.
Yeah, formerly known as front sight.
Okay. You were training on a semi-auto pistol, I assume.
Yeah.
Has anyone had professional firearms training with a revolver? Anybody? Okay. The last sentence there kind of sums it up. As always, the shooter and his skills with the chosen firearm are more important than which firearm he carries. So it's what you shoot well, what you've been trained with. If you've had professional training with one system or another, you probably have more confidence with that system, and that's probably the one you want to stay with. Then about the fourth page or so, a variety of ammunition for use in 454 revolvers. So I mentioned that 454, it's a cannon. It's more than most people are going to want to shoot. It can be dangerous to the shooter if you're not careful, but it has versatility in that you can shoot a variety of power levels in the same gun by just changing ammunition. So on this page it says, variety of ammunition for use in the 454 Ruger. And it starts off with a 45 Colt, 255 grain at 1,000 feet per second. So we're going to go to the far right-hand column. It says 255. That is the power factor. And if you don't know what power factor is, you might as well learn now. Power factor is a simple formula. We take the velocity times the weight. So we take the velocity times the weight. In this case, we come up with a number of 255. 255. That's the power factor. It's not pounds, it's not ergs, it's not eggs, it's nothing. It's just a relative number. It's just a number we can use to compare to others. In other words, what's the power factor of this compared to all the others that I'm familiar with? So if we look at the power factor, we want to see variety in this particular firearm. We go 255, the next one we go up to 430, then 495, then 513. That's almost double the first number. So we have the potential to have a power factor of 255, which might be a good practice round, all the way up to a 913, which might be an excellent bear round. So power factor, we look at velocities, we look at energy, we look at momentum. Power factor is pretty much momentum. It just gives us a number to compare to other numbers. It doesn't mean inches or pounds or anything else. Go ahead and turn the page. The last, I'm starting at the top of the page. The last and most powerful cartridge in both 44 Magnum plus B plus, 454 Casull. The most powerful cartridge that we can put in a 454 is very ballistically similar to the most powerful cartridge we can buy in a 44 Magnum. And that's a 44 Magnum plus P plus. And you know what that means, plus P plus, right? It means plus means additional pressure. P means pressure, and plus means more additional pressure. So a plus P cartridge, you got a 9mm hollow point that you carry on a daily basis, and it says plus P on the box. That means it's got a higher pressure level than a standard 9mm cartridge. In this, and if you have two pluses, that means it's another level up. Sometimes there's 44 Magnum, there's one 44 Magnum load that's a plus P plus plus, I think it is. So it just means it's got it's got pressure 3 levels higher than a standard 44 Magnum cartridge. Okay, we're going to turn the page again. Turn 2 pages. Underwood ammunition handgun loads. This is just from one manufacturer. And what we've tried to do here is compare. We kind of know what 9mm is because we all pretty much use 9mm and train with them. So we start there and then we just go up. We go all the way up to the bottom of the page. We're all the way up to a 454 Casull. So at the top of the page in the right upper corner, it says 162 PF, power factor. So the power factor for your plus P 9mm is 162. So if we're used to shooting that, we know what that is. We know how much recoil it has. We know what its capabilities are. That's something we're already familiar with. Now, if we look at a caliber that's got double that, so 632, 44 Magnum, the first load on 44 Magnum's 255 grains at 1350, power factor of 344. Well, we can make a comparison. It's double that plus P 9mm. And that's not the top 44 load, it's one in the middle. So these are just what we got all the way through this document is comparisons. We got comparison of different cartridges and calibers. We have comparisons of different gun systems. We have comparisons so previously there was just nowhere that you could directly, you'd have to do a lot of research to find all these numbers and figure these things out. So with this one handout, you can compare a lot of different calibers, different guns, different brands of ammunition, and so on. So if you were deciding, you know, I'm thinking about buying this, how does this stack up power-wise to this? Well, I can look right on one of my charts I can see directly. That's 50% more powerful or 25% less powerful. Now, you got a couple pages to go, and then you're at the last page of that chapter, and my name's at the bottom. So you can, when you see my name at the bottom of the page, that's the last page. And what I refer to on this page is two of the top handgun hunters. Both have come to the same conclusion as to what you need to stop a bear. They came up with some generic numbers. So what they say is a 45 caliber, 250 grain bullet, traveling between 1,000 and 1,100 feet per second. They claim that this load will enter an elk's chest just behind the shoulder, pass through the ribs, and exit the other side. It'll go through an elk, shooting behind the shoulder. It'll go through the ribs and through the ribs again and out the other side, and it will stop bears. It will also penetrate a bear's skull. So they're saying, and I've summarized a lot of things that they've written, but they're saying a bullet that weighs about 250 grains, hard cast bullet, that's going close to somewhere over 1,000, maybe 1,100 feet a second, will penetrate a bear's skull without any problem at all. And what they did is they've taken bear skulls from previous hunts that they've done. They've done a lot of bear hunting. They've taken bear skulls and shot them with various calibers to see what it takes. So they came to the conclusion you need 250 grains at 1,000 to 1,100 feet a second to smash through a skull, a bear skull. So as you're looking at charts, you can see, I'm thinking about this. Does that meet the criteria? Okay. Next page, Woods handguns. What we suggest is you start with what you already got. In other words, if the only gun you have is a Glock 17, then start with that. Just get the right ammo. Just get the best ammo for it. Carry it. Be happy. As you get more experience and you maybe find yourself in a position where you can afford another gun specific for woods carry, then you can move up from there. A move to a 40 Smith & Wesson or a 357 SIG is a definite, noticeable increase in power. And the reason we mentioned those two guns is they are all built on a 9mm size pistol. In other words, if I go to a 45 or a 10 mil, I'm going to a bigger gun that will fit my hand well. But I can go from a 9mm or a 40 Smith & Wesson or a 357 SIG, and those guns are chambered in 9mm size pistols. So they're going to fit your hand well. They're going to feel just like the gun you've got now. That makes sense? So if someone wants to move up from the 9mm to something with more power, first thing I would suggest is either a 40 or a 357 SIG, because it's going to point the same, it's going to feel the same, it's going to fit your hand the same, and you're going to take to it quickly. So that's the easiest thing you could do to move up on the chart as far as how much power you have to put on a bear. From there, you start going to bigger guns. If you want something more powerful than a 40 Smith & Wesson, you want a 45 plus P, or you want a 454 or 45 Colt or any of those, You're talking about a bigger gun. So you just want to handle the gun, make sure it's going to work for you. It's not going to be too big for your hand and things of that nature. Let's see, wish I had numbered these pages when I put this together. So I'm on a page that starts, here are some statistics on the 9mm. Anybody find that page? Okay. Here are some statistics on the 9mm cartridge, which in our opinion, these are best suited for predator defense in this caliber. These are some of the best loads that you can put in your 9mm pistol in terms of being able to stop an animal, a bear or something else. No, we rate the hard cast lead far above the full metal jacket. So we start with 147 grain plus P 9mm flat nose at 1135. That's about as good as you're going to get. Something like that is about as good as you're going to get in your 9mm. If we go back and look at the AmmoLand study, we're going to find several cases where a 9mm was sufficient. And if I didn't have anything else, I'd carry it in the woods without hesitation. But what's going to give you the edge is if you get the right ammo in it. Remember, say it one more time. The load you choose, the ammo you carry in the gun is more important than the caliber. So we list all the different caliber 9mm loads that could be recommended for bear self-defense right here on this page. And if you take one from that list, you're probably doing about as good as you can do for a 9mm. Everybody understand? Turn the page. There's another load listed on the following page. Another thing that you could consider is a different barrel in your pistol. Why would that matter? Because the firing chamber on a Glock is cut away a little bit at the front. They make it that way for more reliable feeding, but it also makes it less sturdy. And if you start shooting plus P loads or plus P plus loads, you might get into trouble because the chamber might not hold together. We've seen a few of them burst. And in some of our Glock pistols, we have KKM barrels. We recommend KKM. If you're going to get a different barrel, there's a lot of companies that make aftermarket barrels for Glocks. If you want to get one with a fully enclosed firing chamber, so it's a little bit stronger, we recommend KKM over the others. The other thing is, remember the thing where you're not supposed to shoot lead bullets in a Glock? And so what they do is they put a coating on them and make the lead real hard and do different things to make it safe. But if you put a KKM barrel, it's got traditional rifling. You shoot all the lead you want. So just something to know about. Somebody asked me before the beginning of the break, about can I shoot plus P ammunition in my smaller Glock? You can, but bear in mind, it's a matter of lifespan. There are about 3 Glocks, 2 I know of for sure, maybe 3, Glock 17s that have gone 300,000 rounds. I never heard of a gun, any gun ever, going 300,000 rounds. And it's still going. So the lifespan of these guns is pretty good. But your Glock 30, 43. Your Glock 43 is not going to be a 300,000 round gun. Maybe it's a 100,000 round gun. And maybe you shoot nothing in it except plus Ps. Now it's a 50,000 round gun. Follow? So the harder the ammunition is on the gun, the faster you're going to wear the gun out. That should be understood at this point. So what we try to do is we use practice ammunition most of the time. There's not that much difference in the felt recoil between practice 9mm and full power plus P. You'll feel a little bit of difference, but it's not tremendous. We can do 95% of our practice with training ammo, just Winchester white box, 115 grain, whatever it is. And then just what I would recommend is, let's say I'm going to shoot 50 rounds. Well, I'm probably going to skip load quite a bit of that, but then when I get done or near the end, I'll maybe shoot a magazine of my carry ammo. One that keeps me rotating that carry ammo, and I'm not carrying the same ammo forever in the gun, subjected to solvent, lubricants, and so on. Let's turn a few pages here. If you notice on these couple of pages, we've got detailed information about these different loads that we're recommending. And we started with a list of 9mm ammunition that we would recommend for predator defense. So now what we're doing is just going back and giving you the details. We try to give you some prices, give you velocities, energy, actual chronographs that we've done. We've shot some of these loads over the chronograph and documented what their actual velocities were. Now, I did mention 357 SIG. I know this stuff's a little dry. Bear with me. We won't be here too long. 357 SIG, it's a great cartridge. It's a good self-defense cartridge. With the right bullets, it's a good barrel load. But no one has, and probably no one ever will, load snake shot for a 357 SIG. Because it's a bottleneck cartridge case, probably never going to happen. So that would be discouraging. If I was looking for a little bit more powerful caliber, I might lean toward the 40. One thing about the 40 and the 357 SIG that's kind of important. They're interchangeable. So if you have a 40 Smith & Wesson, you can field strip it like you're going to clean it, pull the barrel out, stick in a 357 SIG barrel, and go to work. And you might get better reliability if you also change the magazines, but they say you don't even have to do that. Just change out the barrel. So a 357 SIG and a 40 Smith & Wesson, most of the parts on those two guns are interchangeable with each other. And if you just swap out the barrels, you can shoot either caliber. So that brings up several things. Like sometimes ammo gets hard to get. Have any of you experienced that? You've been in firearms long enough to see runs on ammunition. All of a sudden you go in and nobody's got any ammunition. It happens. It happens more often than you might guess. So if you have more than one caliber that you can shoot in your pistol, that's a better chance you're going to find something. I was looking for 40, but I found 357 SIG. I'll take it because I can shoot them both. My brother Mark has a 40 Smith & Wesson with a 357 SIG barrel, and when he's just doing target practice, he uses a 40, and if he's going to carry it, he uses the 357 SIG because it's more high performance. Anyway, there are some other calibers that are interchangeable like that, and when we come to them, I will discuss them briefly. Why was the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge created? Does anyone know? Well, yeah. It goes back a little farther though. The FBI was very unhappy with the 38 Special and the 9mm after that big shootout they had in Dade County, Florida, with a couple of armored car robbers. And I think they had 2 agents killed, 1 paralyzed, and 2 more wounded or something. It was a hellacious gun battle. But they in part blamed the downhill side of that fight to the guns. They said because when the fight started, one of the agents, as the opening salvo of this gun battle, one of the agents puts a shot right through the brachial artery and into the chest of the primary shooter. And he went on to kill people for 4.5 minutes. And they're saying we need more powerful pistols. So they bought 900 10mm, and they couldn't shoot them. Anybody know why they couldn't shoot them? Take a guess. They kick harder, and they couldn't qualify. The only people that could qualify were the instructors. And when it was trying to retrain people so they could qualify on a more powerful gun was too expensive, too time consuming, so they just gave it up. So what they did is, a guy from Smith & Wesson at the gun, that thing in Las Vegas, what do you call it? SHOT Show. At the SHOT Show, Mr. Glock saw a 40 Smith & Wesson display at Smith & Wesson's booth, stole some cartridges, and went back and redesigned his gun to take the 40 Smith & Wesson and beat Smith & Wesson to the marketplace. And the 40 Glock became the law enforcement gun in America. He must have sold literally 1 million guns. So the 40 Smith & Wesson was developed after a couple of steps along the way because of the failure of the 9mm, or at least they dubbed it that way. Today they say, oh, the ammunition now is so high tech that in 9mm it's satisfactory. You think it is? To a large degree, it is. But here's the thing. Whatever they did to make the 9mm more effective, they can also do to the 45 and everybody else. You follow? In other words, we can make them all 50% more effective with this high-tech bullet design. But the 9mm is enjoying a lot of popularity in law enforcement. So law enforcement gave up the 40. Why give it up if it's working? Well, too much. Still got more recoil than a 9, more expensive. The ammunition's more expensive. And they were still having too many failures to qualify. At the police academy, we get 100 recruits a month. You got to figure a certain percentage of them will never be able to qualify on the combat course. They're going to get dropped. Maybe by the time we drop him, we got $50,000 in him. So it's a money thing. They got fewer drops with the 9mm because it's easier to shoot. And the 40 is harder to shoot, so they get more drops. So it's a matter of dollars and cents. Anyhow, they all work if you use good ammo and you get halfway decent hits. And the 9mm, I carry a 9mm every day. I carry what do we carry? 43. 43. I carry a 43. 43 with a +3 mag. So I got 10 rounds in the gun. All right. We're going to leave. This is pretty dry stuff. We could talk about calibers all day long. So we're going to leave this. Do you have any questions? We're going to go to the over to the what's it called? No, this thing. PowerPoint. We'll go back to the PowerPoint. Holsters. Have you ever seen or used a chest holster? It's probably your best choice for a woods gun because it keeps the gun out of the dirt and the sand and the mud, keeps it out of the rain. It conceals it. It doesn't interfere with your pack straps. It doesn't interfere with your rifle sling. It gets the gun out of the way, but it's still pretty handy and quick to get to. We've got several of them for different guns, and they seem to be the best compromise. They're quick. They can be quick. There are a number of companies that have made their name producing chest holsters. There's one in Alaska. Remember we had that female politician from Alaska that ran for Sarah Palin? Yeah. The little town she's from, that little town has a business. They make chest holsters. So there's a number of companies that specialize in them. This is just one version of a chest holster. He's got his riding a little bit low. You can have it higher or lower as you adjust the straps differently. I'm not sure what that is. It's a chest holster, but it's all the way low on the straps. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to skip this right now. There's your nightmare. And how many people have been drug out of their tent and eaten? And by the way, I have one case, and I have many similar. When they got there and found the woman's partially eaten body and rolled her over, you know what was underneath her? An empty can of bear spray. He had shot that bear with the full entire can of bear spray. And he killed her and ate her for her trouble. Might as well cover this and get it out of the way. Bear spray. When you read about people killing bears in self-defense, there will always be a notation about they should have used bear spray. We don't want to kill bears. Bears, after studying countless confrontations and incidents, if you have a nuisance bear, in other words, the bear's getting into your garbage can, you spray him with the pepper spray, he'll probably go away. But when you have a bear that's already decided you're a threat to its cubs, you're a threat to his territory, you're a threat to him, and he's coming at you full speed, that bear spray is not going to faze that bear whatsoever. And we've got numerous cases now of people found dead, killed by bears, holding or laying on an empty can of bear spray that did not work. Oh, they shot it. They emptied it at the bear. Didn't work. So again, you got a bear that's just somewhere you don't want him to be. You want him to go somewhere else. Bear spray probably work pretty good. You got a bear in full charge. His ears are back. He's got eye contact with you. He's not going to give a shit about your bear spray. You're either going to drop him with a well-placed bullet or you're in deep trouble. So there's nothing wrong with having bear spray. Sometimes bears will come snooping around your camp because they smelled your dinner that you cooked on the fire. You might be able to drive them off with bear spray. But if you're walking through the woods down the trail and you hear that bear popping his jaws and woofing and he's coming at you, that bear spray is not likely to be effective. Very likely to be ineffective. What's the name of that article, Ron? MLN. In the MLN study, they showed pistols to be about 97%, 97 I think it was, effective in, if they got 100 cases where someone used a pistol to stop a bear, 97 of them it did. It worked. Bears go into people's houses. They tear the doors off campers. You steer in a trailer, they'll just tear the door right off. Their strength is hard to even appreciate. They're so amazingly strong. If you get a bear in your house, you better be able to get to your gun.
Oh, have you ever tried it?
No.
That's not working.
Oh, that's right. A lot of people say, I tried the bear spray first and
Well, hold on, let me get my
no, a number of so-called experts have said that's a bad plan. If he's just a nuisance, use the bear spray. If he's coming after you, shoot him. And we're going to give you some very specific rules about shooting bears, starting right now. Any questions before we change to this subject? How are we doing, Stace? Everything good? Let's see. A U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service publication, Close Encounters with Bears, states that a grizzly bear can run 50 yards in 3 seconds. 50 yards in 3 seconds. Can you even fathom that? You are not going to outrun a bear. Get that out of your mind. If you run, you're going to trigger his instincts and he's more likely to pursue. You have a better chance of not running if you don't run. If you can run faster than 50 yards in 3 seconds, let me know. I got an Olympic application for you. Up to 40 miles an hour, 40 to 50 feet per second. That bear's coming 40 to 50 feet per second. So here's this first rule. You're going to want to make a note on this. If you are in the wild, I don't mean you're at a camper land and there's campers all around and people all around and, I mean, and you're in the outback. There's very few people around, maybe none. You're on a hiking trail, whatever. And you find yourself within, don't let me, wait a second. There it is. Dang it. It's 100 feet on the 100 yards on the first one. Yeah. The first number you're going to write down is 100 yards. If you see that there is a bear within 100 yards of where you're standing, there is one or more bears within 100 yards of where you're standing, draw your pistol. Because he can cover that ground in 5 seconds. So you don't want to be fumbling for your gun out of your holster if he decides to come for you. If he comes for you, you just want to be able to raise it up and shoot. You don't want to have to draw your gun. So if you find the bear is within 100 yards of where you're standing, get your gun out. Don't have to point it at anything. Just go to the guard and see what happens. If there is a bear within 50 feet of you and he is showing aggressive traits, what are those? He's popping his teeth, he's popping his jaw, and he's making a woofing sound, and he's making eye contact, he's looking at you, start shooting. Well, he's not coming yet, doesn't matter. At 50 feet or closer, you'll be lucky to get off a shot. If you wait for him to start coming, you may not even get that first shot off before he's got you. He can cross that 50 feet and nothing flat. So if he's 50 feet or closer and displaying aggressive traits, he's not coming, he's displaying aggressive traits, Start shooting. And there's one more. If a bear charges you, when he hits 100 feet, start shooting. Why not sooner? Well, you could, but what we're saying is federal law is probably going to accept your claim of self-defense if you waited to see it wasn't a false charge. Bears make false charges all the time. So you shoot that bear at 150 feet, they're saying that could have been a false charge. We don't think it was necessary for you to kill our bear. You see? But if that bear charges, once he hits that 100-foot mark, they're going to say, okay, we agree, it's a real charge. He's trying to get you. He's coming. It's not a false charge. If he hits that 100-foot mark, that puts him into, he's liable for your self-defense. Once he hits about 100 feet, start shooting. So you got 3 numbers. A bear within 100 yards. Get your gun out and be ready. A bear within 50 feet and being aggressive, acting aggressive, showing traits like popping his jaws and woofing and making eye contact, start shooting. And if a bear charges you, when he hits the 100-foot mark, start shooting. Because he's going to cover that last 100 feet just a few seconds. You won't have time to get a couple of holes in him first. Yes, sir.
What's the is it super common, like say me and a bear, because it's like hard to judge, like is he 110 feet, is he 90 feet?
Yeah.
Like how common is it for a bear to attack me? Like is it really common that they see people and don't care, or is it like maybe 50-50, or?
I'd say most of the time they don't care.
What's kind of thing?
The big thing is you want the bear to hear you before they see you. So you're making a little bit of noise on purpose. Bear hears you, he's still a ways off, you never know he was there. He just wanders off and you don't
What
even.
about the thing loud and calling, making a bunch of noise?
It has worked on occasion. The people take your jacket, pull it up over like this, make it look like you're this big. We know that they always take the smallest, most vulnerable victim. So then we presume the opposite. If we look like a big person who might do them damage, they might turn, they might go away. We're just concerned with, as shooters, what are our options? When can we shoot a bear and not go to jail? So,
What is is it a felony to shoot a bear?
oh yeah.
And do they come out and look where the bear's feet are?
Oh, they're going to do a very thorough investigation. They're going to look at the claw marks in the dirt. If anything, if you use bear spray, they're going to take samples from his fur. Anything they can do to ascertain the actual facts of the situation. But if that bear's in full charge, and he's 100 feet or closer, you should be legally okay. Should be okay. But sometimes if he's 50 feet away and he just suddenly charges, you're barely going to have time to react. So they're saying if he's 50 feet away and he's acting aggressive, we're going to assume he's coming. If he's within 100 yards, we're just going to be at the ready and see what happens. Got those 3 numbers? 100 yards, come to guard. What's the next one?
50 feet and aggressive.
He's within 50 feet, that's too close. He can go from 50 feet to you too fast. So you gotta start first, or you'll hardly get off a shot. So you got that one exactly right. So he's within 50 feet, he's acting aggressive, start the fight. And the last one?
100 feet and charging.
He's charging and he hits that 100-foot mark. So you see a bear, he's pretty close. You look out there and you find what you think is about 100 feet on the ground. If he starts coming, get ready when he hits that mark, 100 feet, start shooting. If the bear was doing a false charge, you really don't want to kill him. Who wants to kill a bear? Who wants to go through the legal system?
You need the discernment of a federal investigator, bureaucrat, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frame of reference, 100 yards, roughly a football field, in the end zone there are a couple. But the 100 feet would be a third of that, right? So roughly a third of that 100 yards.
Okay, we good? Everybody got that? This is something that we really want to make sure you take with you. This is something you want to practice it, go over it from time to time. Getting ready to go on a camping trip or something, sit down and read this over and just remind yourself. Let's see, what were those guidelines? Oh yeah. Make sure you review the guidelines before you go in the woods. At least we would hope you would. Oh, it's addendum. If you're on, are you on the page that says addendum?
No, we're on the PowerPoint.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, we were on.
Just know the law is like if you fear, so the whole thing of, hey, I feared for my life, self-defense goes out the window, right? If a bear is way out there and it's running at you and it's 200 yards, 300 yards out, you shot that bear, that would be still considered a crime.
Bears false charge much more often than they actually attack people. So what they don't want is if every time a bear false charge, someone killed them, there would be bears left. So they're trying to save the bears too. So they figure if he's still coming at 100 feet, then we got to draw the line somewhere.
You better have a back.
Kill the bear and run. Bury your gun.
I know several people that I'm sure have done that. I wouldn't recommend it because it's always, the cover up is always worse than the crime.
That implies you knew you did something questionable.
Yeah.
I recently spent several hours on the phone with one of the Fish and Game officials who has investigated numerous self-defense bear shootings. His work has required him to go into the bush to finish wounded bears. He has been charged by bears and been forced to shoot bears to stop them. He stated that in his experience, an outdoorsman is better armed with an everyday carry pistol with the right ammunition. His agency requires him to carry a .44 Magnum. He doesn't carry it. He carries a .45 automatic. Why? He shoots it better. Bottom line. So this guy's been in the bush after wounded bears many times. And he's quite happy to do it with a .45. You don't have to have a cannon. You have to be accurate and have the right ammunition in your gun. So, in fact, I've heard now, as recently, several guides, when their hunters, elk hunters are going up to Alaska or deer hunters or whatever, and they call the guide and say, what handgun should I bring? Guides have been recommending your everyday carry gun. Why? You shoot it best. If you shoot that 9mm better than you shoot a .45, you might be better off with that 9mm. Take with you what you shoot best. Of course, the other side of that is develop skills and transfer them to different, bigger guns at some point. But
reiterating, get the right ammo for that everyday carry.
I did say that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's probably worth reiterating.
Now, there's a guy up in Alaska called Phil Shoemaker. He's the guy that did that last bear with the 9mm. There's another guy, and I don't remember his name, I should. I've read his story many times. But he shoots a deer, sets his rifle against the tree, takes out his buck knife, and starts to gut and skin the deer. Gets attacked by a bear. He's just a couple steps away, but he can't get to his rifle. Bear knocks him down. He stabs the bear in the neck, cuts his artery, and kills him. I've seen maybe 3, maybe 4 cases where, in a similar situation, somebody killed a bear with a knife. So if these guys can keep their head and kill the bear with a knife, we can kill it with our pistols, right? We just got to keep our cool, not panic. Can you imagine seeing about a 800-pound bear ball of muscle coming at you at 35, 40 miles an hour? How do you? Here's another thing, by the way, you'd probably never see this elsewhere. Famous African hunter, when he was charged by an animal, he would drop down to a knee. He would drop down to a knee and take the shot. Killed charging lions just like that. What was his rationale?
Make himself smaller and steady the weapon.
Steady the weapon for sure. I'm not sure about making himself smaller perhaps, but I'll show you something here. I'll try. So if an animal's coming towards me down on all fours right here, he's coming at me like this. I'm on him, I'm on him, I'm on him, I'm on him. You see what's happening here? My rifle's doing what? What happens when people have to shoot a charging lion or a charging bear? They're not coming this way fast enough and they're shooting right over his back. It's a common mistake that hunters will make. So what they want to do, right now I'm constantly changing angle. But if I drop down on a knee, or maybe 2, he's coming straight at me. My target's never moving very much. It's just kind of going like this. Whereas this way, my whole angle and approach is totally different. Now, I've heard other people say, now who's calm enough to drop down on a knee when a bear's coming at you? I don't know, but I've rehearsed it a lot of times. Anyway, just something to think about. If you get charged by a bear and your decision is to shoot him, you might want to be able to hit him better if he's coming straight at your gun instead of you following him this way. See, that right there is worth the price of admission. You won't see that anywhere. Got that originally from one of these African books about it, big game hunters in Africa. One thing you'll see in the papers, you just be aware and guard against this. Whenever there's a bear attack and the victim is able to shoot the bear and stop the bear, the newspaper is going to always have 2 points. 1, the bear attacked because of climate change. It's your fault. And then you will almost never see a bear attack story that doesn't say, and as a result, they're doing more stuff about climate change.
Climate change took their food away or made them
Yeah,
go lower.
exactly. Exactly. And the other thing you'll always see is we don't recommend firearms. It's too dangerous. Everyone should carry bear spray. And I've come across so many cases now where another case, the victim gets his bear spray out in time, squirts it, and the breeze brings it right back, and it incapacitates him. Now he's got a bear wants to kill him, and he can't eat. He's blinded. Why would you do that? Yeah. And I think I did mention this. I know I mentioned it to some of you. If you have a group, you get taken a family group, bunch of people camping or something like that, you need minimum of 2 shooters. You've got to have 2 shooters because the bear may well attack one of your shooters. If you only have 1 shooter and that's the bear's target, there's nobody to save you. The only person that had the capability is incapacitated by the bear. So you need at least 2 shooters in a group. Let's see where we are here. Now these guys, Montana Fish and Wildlife, they say try to break major bones in the bear's shoulder or in his front legs. That's, if you're shooting a 45-70 rifle, yeah, maybe so. But I wouldn't count on being able to break bones with a pistol. I've talked to 4 or 5 people who reside in Alaska who shot charging bears. And I asked them, where did you aim? They all gave the same answer. At the center of the blur. This idea that you're going to shoot him in the shoulder at it. Maybe not. And that's what I put in my last. Things often happen so fast that all you will really be able to do is shoot center mass. Our thoughts on bear defense. I've got a thing in here. I'm going to try to find. I wrote up a page about, I said, I love bears. I do. I think they're magnificent. They're the king of the forest. They're just beautiful animals. They've been around for hundreds of thousands of years, I think. And I would hate to kill a bear. However, one thing I'd hate more is to be mauled by a bear. And I think we even have some pictures. So this is what we just covered. The bear will try to put your entire head in his mouth if he can, and just pop it like a grape. And of course, death is instant. And they've got all these razor blades attached to their paws. It will slice you up. In fact, a number of the cases that I've looked at, somebody gets sliced up by a bear, they get rescue in there pretty fast. They get medics to the person, and they're trying to save them. They've lost so much blood so quickly from all these razor blade-like lacerations that they'll lose the patient. They'll be bled out in no time. Why are all the people who get killed by alligators 83 years old? That's right, because they're retired and live in Florida. In fact, we were sure, I hope I got a picture of that. Yankee Marshall, he's a podcast guy. He stated that he observed his uncle kill a bear that was attacking the uncle's dogs with a .380. A .380 in Full Metal Jacket, that's it. Killed the bear. So last year it's been 2 years now at least, I had several communications with the Alaskan Fish and Game official whose job it is to go into the bush and kill wounded brown bears. By the way, a grizzly bear and a brown bear is the same bear. They're just habitat in different places. And they're different colors, mostly some kind of brown. Black bears can be almost any color. They can be blonde, they can be brown, they can be black. Black bears would be almost any color. So this is the guy, even though he's required by his organization to carry a .44 Magnum, he doesn't, because it kicks too hard, he doesn't shoot it well. Carries a .45 and a Remington 870 shotgun. To fit this, now I'm on another guy. A famous guide in Alaska has gone into the bush to finish 3 brown bears on 3 occasions, wounded by his clients. His only firearm, the only firearm he took to go face those bears, Colt Officers Model 1911 with 230 grain FMJ. One of the most famous Alaskan guides has twice had to stop dangerous brown bears with a handgun. Charged by a brown bear, he used a 3-inch Ruger 357, snub-nose 357 revolver, loaded with 180 grain flat-nose buffalo bore ammunition. Hit the bear in the chest with the first and only shot. Stopped and killed the bear. To protect his clients, he had to shoot another brown bear with his Smith & Wesson 9mm. I already told you that story. 2 girls laid on the ground. People with absolutely no knowledge of the subject will insist that a handgun is useless against an attacking bear. We have the study from Ammoland saying about 98% successful. The only ones who weren't successful were 22s. We've talked to a number of guides and a number of fish and game people, and they report stopping bears with pistols not infrequently. So people who don't know anything, in fact, people will say, oh, if you're going to carry a 9mm in the woods, you might as well just carry 1 cartridge so you can kill yourself before the bear gets to you. We would prefer to have a shotgun or a powerful rifle in a bear attack, but handguns have worked dozens of times. Told you about that already. Yes.
If you came across, you're walking through and you come across baby bears, now
You're in deep shit.
you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Is it going to be an instant conflict with mama?
Probably. Chances are, what makes it worse is when the cubs squeal. The cubs see you, they're startled, and they squeal. She's coming like hell on earth, man. She's going to chew you up something fierce.
What we don't see it. She's coming for you.
Yeah, she's coming. You'll see her at some point.
Probably a million miles away, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. Well, it depends on the wind.
You slowly walk away is the right thing, right? Or do you
Yes,
put the gun in your hand?
slowly walk away. She's not going to let that happen. You know, by the way, the whole thing, everybody knows the mama bear deal, right? Mama bears. In other words, the mama bear is the most dangerous animal in the forest because she's protected her young and all that. You know what the truth is behind that? Male bears will eat the cubs. Mama bear has to fight the male bear to keep the cubs alive because they're cannibals. That's why the mama bears are so fierce. They're fighting constantly. They're fighting constantly to protect the baby bears from the papa bears. Doesn't say much for us, does it? Huh?
Human fathers aren't much better.
Oh, sure, for sure. Okay, Ted Nugent. Who knows who Ted Nugent is? You should all raise your hands. What's with you? He wounded an African buffalo. African buffalo is one of the hardest creatures in the world to take down. They can absorb bullets like nothing else. And he was hunting them with an arrow, with a bow and arrow. He's a big-time bow hunter, Nugent is. And he put an arrow into the buffalo, but it just clipped his lung. So he was losing blood, but not too much, not too fast. So he trailed the buffalo all day, finally found him, and the buffalo was down. As he approached, the buffalo got to his feet and turned toward the group, the humans. Ted dropped to a knee and fired 4 quick shots from his 10-millimeter pistol, killing him. Kind of interesting. Oh, I did this one already. Guy was going for a walk right at the edge of town and got attacked by a grizzly. That's a big bear. What happens too is when these bears get old, their teeth get worn down. They have trouble getting enough substance to live. They get snarly, you know. They get what's the word? Irritable? I don't know. They more likely to bother people when they're pissed off. This next slide is from 1969. Wife of an Alaskan bush pilot, walking alone on their private airstrip, turned to see a attacking brown bear almost on top of her. Reflexively drew and fired her Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum with heavy loads, dropping the bear. 2 more shots killed him. She was very sorry for having to kill the bear. I could make that bigger, but I could lose everything. The whole thing might blow up. Anyway, that's her and the bear. This 100-pound wolf charged this lady while she was bow hunting. That's a big wolf. She killed him with a 44 Magnum. This is a 9-foot bear that took 7 shots, 230 grain FMJ, practice ammo. Took 7 shots from a 45 auto to kill this bear. This was kind of an interesting story, and I got some learning points from several of these stories. And this one, the guide and the hunter have an animal down. I think it's a moose. I think it's a record moose, as I recall. And they're getting ready to field dress this moose. The guide takes off his revolver and in the holster hangs it on a branch. And then they go over and start working on this moose. This huge bear comes up and says, "You thought that was your bear, but it was actually my bear." So, huh? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, you're right. Moose. Yeah, that's right. You got it. You were right. So, anyway, this bear is like standing over them. He's so big they're looking up at him. He's almost standing over them. The guide tells the hunter, "Get my gun." Fortunately, it was a Ruger single-action revolver, 44 Magnum. So he knew enough to cock the hammer. So he turns around and shoots right square at a pretty steep upward angle, right through the heart. Drops that bear right on the spot. And it was just a gigantic bear. Yeah, look at that. Now this one, a ranger ends up on an altercation with a bear. During the struggle, he draws his .37 Magnum revolver, loaded with 158 grain, jacketed hollow points. Wrong ammo. We don't carry hollow points in the woods. The first 4 shots failed to penetrate the bear's skull. Those 4 .327 hollow points just flattened out and didn't get in. The 5th shot broke the bear's neck. The ranger was chewed up, but he was okay. This is pictures from the incident. They were moving a bear from one place to another. When they opened the back gate to let the bear out, he came around and tried to get the ranger, and he rocked the truck, and the ranger fell off. Can you imagine? I just tip your car over for you, bud. Anyhow, he finally killed him. He subsequently killed the bear. But there's something interesting about this. He might not have. Yeah, he might not have been armed. But this was later made into a training film. And in the film, now this bear's dead. He broke his neck with a magnum, right? In the training film, they have the bear escaping. Because they wouldn't show something where anyone used a firearm against an animal to save his life. Can you imagine? They changed the story to fit the narrative that they wanted.
That's why I worry about a federal agent investigating my self-defense shooting.
Yeah. So I've got, how are we doing on time?
3:30.
3:30 right now.
Okay, how much time I got?
Up to 5:30.
Okay, we're good. We won't be that late. So one of the things, a lot of people think that handguns are just for target shooting and small game or whatever, or maybe self-defense against humans. They don't realize that the world is full of people who hunt big animals with handguns. And so what they've done is put a kind of a collage together of different large animals that were hunted and killed with a pistol. So the first set is with a .454 Casull. Now that, I think, is a huge pig. It's hard to know for sure. I remember I mentioned, some of you I think I mentioned, this is a Ling Nu. She's a Chinese descent. She's the best rifle instructor at Gunsight. And I learned a lot from her and worked with her in teaching classes a few times. She went to Africa with a .454 Casull Ruger single revolver. And she shot this buffalo 3 times. Yeah, I think it was 25 yards, 50 yards, and 75 yards approximately. All 3 shots went through his heart, but he went quite a ways with 3 .454 Casull bullets through his heart. Imagine. Some animals just don't give up. This is another buffalo taken with a .454. A bison taken with the same caliber. I don't remember what this, like an eland or something, would be recognized it? What is it? Yeah, sounds good. That's probably it. Anyway, giant African buffalo, .454. Moose, African buffalo, .454. Hippo? Hippos are nasty, man. Oh, yeah. I think hippos are second after crocodiles in African countries. Huh? I think crocodiles are first and hippos are second. They kill a lot of people. Another buffalo, 454. Grizzly bear, bison. Somehow these guys are killing all these huge animals with these pistols, which everybody knows aren't very powerful. Right? 45 Colt plus P, bison. Another 45 Colt. Another one. Same animal. 44 mag, bison. What is that, pig? 44 mag, bear, 44. Razor Dobbs. Did we already talk about him? He's another big time bow hunter. He goes all over the world hunting everything. So he shot a 600-pound wildebeest with his 10 millimeter at 100 yards. That looks like a buffalo. I don't know. I'm no expert. Anyway, Razor Dobbs. Who's that other rock and roll guy? Ted Nugent. These two guys are famous in the archery world as big time bow hunters. And they also do a lot of handgun hunting. They both carry 10 millimeters. And both of them, I think, are, 1911 style 10 millimeters. Deer. Dobbs with a hog, 10 millimeter hog. You got these two hogs just a few seconds apart. What the hell's a long slide? Oh, a long slide pistol. I'm trying to think, what kind of animal would be called a long slide? 10 millimeter 1911 long slide. Another 400-pound hog taken with a 10 mil. Cow elk, 10 millimeter. Bull elk, 10 millimeter. Large black bear, 10 millimeter. Another bear with a 10 millimeter. Bear skull from a 10 millimeter harvest. What's that? Yep, double tap ammo. 10 millimeter 1911. 10 millimeter Glock. Can't even tell what kind of animals some of these are. Another 10 millimeter. Why are there so many 10 millimeters? In the AmmoLand study, the two calibers you see the most, 44 mag and 10 mil, stopping bears. Why would those two calibers be most common in the report?
Velocity versus, or velocity times the weight of the projectile.
They're both very powerful rounds. They'll kill big stuff. And the other reason? Okay, they're easy to shoot well. Yeah. And anything else? There's a lot of them out there. A lot of people are carrying these. When everybody carried 357 mags, that's what we saw. Bears killed with 357 mags. Now we got a lot better stuff. But there's just a lot of people carrying 44s and 10 mils, so that contributes to the number of successes we see.
You like the Glock 20, or you said it's not too big of a...
Well, I have a fairly good sized hand. I get by, I shoot it okay. But it doesn't feel as good. What feels good in my hand's a 1911. So, yeah, the Glock 10 millimeter is a little fat in the hand for me. I shoot it, I like it, I would carry it in a heartbeat. But hard to beat the feel of a 1911. Staccato and other companies now are making these high-end 1911s, and they're like, some are $3,000. Man, must be nice. These are animals, still 10 millimeters. A doe, 10 millimeter. A bear, 10 millimeter. Now we look at some other calibers. 41 mag, 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, 57 9 millimeter. This alligator was killed with a 41 Magnum. I think they saw this alligator swallow a deer. And so they got kind of pissed off. Didn't like the alligator keep swallowing the deer, so they killed him. Cow elk, 41 mag. 40 Smith & Wesson, 357. Now, I guess that's a bear. Oh, yeah. See the nose now. Hog taken with a short barrel, 357. 57. 45 auto. 45 auto. 45 super. Monster hog with a 45 auto. Deer with a 9 millimeter. Hog with a 9 millimeter. Another hog with a 9. Hog with a 9. So that's just an idea. All we're saying there is people hunt really big game, really tenacious types of animals with handguns. The idea that a handgun's not powerful enough to defend your life against an animal is ridiculous. There have been countless bears hunted and harvested with handguns. So just for your information. The next several slides depict the point of aim on different targets. This is your alligator's head, right? Yes. So here's your point of aim right here. It's between the eyes and back a couple inches. Yeah, that's good. That's where the brain is, yep. So now looking straight down on the alligator, we can see that spot. Now this is a bear from all, you can get one of these and just keep it and study it. But it's just from all the different angles, what would be your target? That's a bear's heart and lungs. Obviously the red's the heart. What this is. Yeah. Notice the slope of the forehead right here. You can see how easy, shooting this way, how easy it would be for that bullet to just skip off. So keep that in mind. I don't know what that is. It's a big snake. Good thing Jackie's not here. Oh my God. Stacy's mom does not like snakes. This is Rick Grimes demonstrating where to shoot a zombie with the 357 Magnum. Also contact right in the forehead, right?
Rick always had the gun. He never had his sights in it, right? He always had the barrel down like this.
Yeah, that's right.
That was one critique I had with Rick.
Yeah.
Or whoever was advising them on the show.
He's a Brit anyway.
What's that?
The actor, I think he's a Brit. He doesn't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's
We
true.
don't know about that.
Anyway, has anyone been killed by a kangaroo?
I wouldn't be surprised. They're fighters, you know.
when you stumble upon a kangaroo?
When you what?
When you stumble, what do you do to see a kangaroo? Luckily, are they only in Australia and
Yeah.
New Zealand?
I would say if it's standing on its tail, you may want to draw.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, you're right, they kind
Standing
of lift
on
them.
its tail. not
Don't they lift up on their tail?
Yeah,
On their tail?
use their back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll use the claws on their hind legs, just the valley.
If I get stopped by a kangaroo, I'll call you.
Yeah.
You're gonna take care of it for me.
And they add that to the story.
Yeah, Mac knows about kangaroos.
So where do you shoot a bear? If the bear is charging you on all four legs, best shot is the shoulder. If you've got enough power, it's going to take some power to break a bear's shoulder. But if you've got the power and you got the shot, as good as any. If you can break the shoulder, the bear should turn and go down, giving you time to shoot him some more. Did I? The hell am I? That's where it was? Or shoot just behind the eye, into the brain, top of the head, however, is very flat. You know that? You know what's going on. If his head is up, the angle will be too great for this shot, but what's good is up the nose or in the eyes. If you get in the eye socket or in the nose, up the nose. There was just recently a case where a young kid killed a charging or attacking bear with a single shot 410 shotgun with bird shot. He shot him right in the when a bear got right on him. He shot him in the face, right up the nose, and enough pellets went into the brain to put that bear down. His head is up, shoot up the nose. If he stands up on his hind legs just before he reaches you, shoot up into the center of the chest to hit the spine. Or shoot up the nose if you can. Between 2010 and 2014, there have been 3.2 fatal bear attacks in the U.S. each year. That's not a lot. But it's not the fatal attack. They only concern themselves with the fatals. When a bear gets a hold of you, sometimes you're going to wish he killed you. I mean, they are going to rip you up one side and down the other. So you might say, well, only a small number of fatals. How many were non-fatal, where the person survived that attack, but were horribly maimed? Probably at least twice that many were attacked but didn't die. People have admitted to me killing bears in self-defense and not reporting it. That's tricky. What is the most dangerous animal on the planet? Well, people, of course, but after that, not insect, but animal. 172,000 deaths per year. 400,000 amputations. 400,000 amputations. That's on top of 172,000 deaths. These snakes are bad news. 20 times more than all other animals on planet Earth combined. Take the number of shark deaths, everything, add them all up, snakes beat that number. They're dangerous. Only 5 to 10 Americans a year die from rattlesnake bite in the U.S. because of helicopters and antivenom. Excellent hospital treatment. In India, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they were running 51,000 a year just in India. Now, I don't know what they're doing differently now, but they've got it down to about 20,000 a year in India. 20,000. You imagine if 20,000 Americans were dying from anything, we'd find a way to fix it, right?
Taking the same thing.
Yeah, except for COVID.
1,200 Americans will lose a limb every year. Hand, a foot, an arm. Rattlesnake will strike anyone that it can reach. Rattlesnakes have one of the fastest. A rattlesnake strike is so fast, you can be looking at it and you can't not see it. It's like the Bob Munden thing. Guy's so fast, you can't even see his gun. That's what the rattlesnake is like. You can be sitting there staring at it and he'll strike and you can't even follow it. That's why a mongoose can kill a cobra, but a mongoose cannot kill a rattlesnake. It's too fast. Rattlesnake's too fast. I've seen people, I was watching one of these science shows and this guy was fooling with a rattlesnake and it bites him. He didn't even realize it. He was looking at it. He was staring right at it. His eye couldn't follow, the movement was too fast. His brain couldn't see what his eye saw. About a third to half their length. Largest rattlesnake ever recorded is 8 feet. The longest possible strike would be 4 feet. 3 feet would be a realistic maximum strike. Dead rattlesnakes will envenomate you. Now this is kind of old stuff here. If you are bitten, kill the rattlesnake safely. Carefully place it into a secure container like a cooler, something it can't bite through, and transport it to the hospital. Now, this is old stuff. This is what we did 30 years ago. I don't know that they do that now because now you just take a picture. We don't have to risk the injury by trying to transport the snake. So I don't know what they do with that now. Current in Utah right now, the average cost of a rattlesnake bite treatment is over $100,000. You get bit by a rattlesnake, go to the hospital here, over $100,000. Utah state law says you cannot indiscriminately kill a rattlesnake. I do not share space with rattlesnakes. I will not allow a rattlesnake anywhere around my family or myself. So if you find a rattlesnake on your property or whatever, it's up to you what you're going to do about it. You know what the law says. You can't indiscriminately kill it. I used to expect you to pay somebody to come, catch it, drive it up, and release it in the mountains somewhere. See, I'm thinking, I'm very discriminate. I only kill rattlesnakes that have scales. Anyway, if you decide to kill a rattlesnake and you get caught, be prepared, there'll be consequences. There was a Boy Scout camp leader in Utah. Boy Scouts went up to set up their camp, and after they got the camp set up, they found 2 rattlesnakes in the middle of the campsite. So the camp leader dispatched the snakes. What else would you expect them to do? And they cited him. The sheriff came out and cited him. I'd much rather be cited than be bitten. And I'd fight it.
What's the penalty for that? Also a felony? If not,
What's that?
what's the penalty for that?
Oh,
Looking for a year in prison or?
I
It's
see.
a couple $100. I don't know off the top of my head. control.
But a bear can be a felony, right? And then they take
Yeah,
your guns.
federal game.
Yeah. So we got some rattlesnake pictures. I hate these things, man. They're like hypodermic needles, the way their fangs work. So now this is a rattlesnake victim. Oops, what happened?
I still lose that thumb.
Probably, I would say so.
Necrosis, really split the skin because of all the
Pressure.
inflammation. Or it's all black, where the flesh actually dying.
It's a class B misdemeanor in Utah if you kill a rattlesnake. B misdemeanor. But you can kill it to defend yourself.
Yeah, I suspect the legislature intended something different than some prosecutors.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bad. And you can't see what's what there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this reason I have this picture, this guy has a 40 Smith & Wesson pistol, holds like 15 or 20 cartridges. And he's trying to shoot this rattlesnake. He ended up going through his whole magazine trying to get a hit on this rattlesnake. When the snakes are moving, they can be very difficult to shoot, which is why we want snake shot. I would say maybe as fast as you normally walk.
The risk is more that you come upon it and don't see it.
Yeah. This picture right here came from the Gunsight Academy. They got a hell of a lot of rattlesnakes there. Can't even see that snake. I guess it's right there. I see a lot of pictures. People post a lot of pictures with a snub-nosed 38 and a dead snake and suggesting they use snake shot. I've shot 2 snakes with 38 snake shot, and it didn't work well at all. I wouldn't count on that. Yes. And I did multiple shots on one. I did 2 shots on one of them. It still didn't do much. Now this guy's hunting small game with a 41 Magnum hand-loaded shot shell. So just again, if you're a hand loader, you can make your own. It's a lot cheaper, and you can load calibers that you can't otherwise obtain. Handgun shot shells are some of the, one thing people say, if I fire 3 shots, I keep firing 3 shots to get attention because I'm lost or I got a rattlesnake bite or something. All those bullets are falling out of the sky sooner or later. One's liable to fall on somebody and hurt them. Well, if you're using the snake shot, those little tiny BBs falling, you catch them in your hand. So you eliminate almost entirely the hazard of falling projectiles, if that concerns you. So that's another use for the snake shot. So you're just shooting to make noise, trying to attract somebody to find you, and you have some snake shot, you might use that. Save your other stuff. My brother shot a rat from real close range with a 45 auto snake shot, cut him right in half. 45 ACP works really well. These are the CCI calibers of snake shot right here. That's it. 5-inch. Double tap ammo adds the following calibers. So double tap makes those plus 32 Federal, 32 H&R, 10 millimeter. At least those three. Or do you carry your snake shot? If you've got the new double tap snake shot, there is a wad cutter, a hard cast lead or all copper full wide cutter in your cartridge. So if you had to shoot in self-defense against a person, it would work very well. So you don't have to worry about switching ammo. You can carry your snake shot on the trail or whatever, and if you had to defend yourself against a person, you can do so without changing ammunition. But the CCI don't have that luxury. I have one case of a bear shot with snake shot. 2 or 3 guys were camping, hiking, hunting, and they were on horseback. I think it was Montana, I'm not sure. They were on horseback, and one of them was carrying a 44 Magnum with CCI snake shot. Well, this bear started getting close and bothering them, and they were getting a little worried about it. So he shoots his horse with his snake shot, the horse, shoots his bear with a snake shot, CCI snake shot, and the bear took off. It probably felt like 50 bee stings, and the bear didn't want any more of it. So that's the only case I've seen where somebody shot a bear with a snake shot. So I can't say what the probability is you'll get that result, but it worked that time. One of the things you have to, how many of you own a revolver? Quite a few. One of the problems that we worry about with the revolver is bullet jump. When you shoot the revolver and it recoils back, the projectile tends to want to get, it's heavy, it wants to stay there. So the gun comes back, the bullet wants to stay there. So what happens is you start pulling your bullets. The bullets start pulling out of the cases. So if you loaded up real heavy ammunition, really kicked hard, say in a 6-shot revolver, fired 5 shots, took out the 6th round, you might find that that projectile's halfway out of the case. The problem is if it goes out far enough, the nose will interfere with the turning of the cylinder. Are you visualizing this? And that's not an uncommon problem when you're shooting high-powered stuff, especially if you're loading it yourself. Or you want to put a crimp and a half on that thing, and then you don't want to leave. Let's say I was using my first chamber to hunt rats, and I'd shoot a rat, and then I'd reload that same dirty chamber and shoot another rat. After a while, all the rest of my cartridges are going to pull out. So you don't want to just use one chamber. You want to be careful and watch your cartridges. Make sure that you're not pulling the bullet.
So on the field, how do you rectify that? Put them on something flat and hand press them back together?
Well, just prevent it. So if you just let the cylinder rotate, eventually you'll use up all those. And unless it's not crimped adequately and it's really like 400 grain bullets or something, it's not going to pull on just 5 shots. So you might have to do 20 shots. So you keep changing one chamber to use that chamber. Well, I don't want to get my whole gun dirty, I just get one chamber dirty. I could be pulling all the time and pulling a little bit more, a little bit more. So it's just prevent it by just don't just use one chamber, use all the chambers. I suppose if you had a little mallet or something, you could knock it back, but yeah, yeah, yeah. When we switch from solid bullets or cartridges, solid projectiles, to shot shells, we call that select shot shell. Gee, why do you call it that? So if like we're on the range, somebody sees a rattlesnake, select shot shell, right? Who gets it done first? And auto pistols is a little bit different. You can just carry a separate magazine with whatever you want. Carry a spare magazine full of tracers if you want, and a spare magazine full of shot shells. And then just keep your self-defense ammo in the gun, because it's just a matter. I've switched over, right? Draw a fresh magazine, eject, insert, run it. I've got everything in the gun now is tracer or shot shell or whatever I wanted it to be. Only takes about 2-3 seconds to switch it over. It's a little bit more involved than doing it for the revolver. It takes a little bit longer. I've only used pepper spray on a criminal one time. We've used it in riots and crowd control situations, but where it was one-on-one, I want to incapacitate you, let's see what happens. And it wasn't very effective. But somehow if you shoot a bear with it, it's totally effective, right? So again, keep in mind, bear spray is for nuisance bears. Firearms are for self-defense. Good? If you try to use a bear spray in a self-defense case, you may end up regretting it. But one thing, if you choose this, let's say you decide, I've tested my CCI snake shot and I've tested my double snap tap snake shot. And I think I'm going to carry, if I have a need to carry snake shot, I'm going to carry the double tap with the wide cutter. One thing to be aware of, one advantage of snake shot is you don't have a bullet that's going to ricochet. Shot's going to flatten out. Really, it's soft lead, not going to bounce very much at all. And you don't have a ricochet. But now we've introduced a bullet into our shot shell. That there's no reason that won't ricochet. So now you've got to keep that in mind. If you're going to shoot something, on the rocks, maybe a snake on a rock or something like that, you want to be careful that that round could ricochet, because there is a bullet in that cartridge. Good? I told you about that already. It's much easier to switch over the auto pistol. If you, again, I just said you're just going to eject, insert, rack. But with the revolver, you're probably not going to want to dump that ammo on the ground. You might. Then you got to get all those chambers loaded again, or not. too many choices. I've heard lots of people say, yeah, I keep snake shot in my self-defense gun, my home defense gun. You know, I've got a 44 or whatever it is, and I keep it loaded with snake shot. That's not a good idea. It's not likely to incapacitate someone who doesn't want to be incapacitated. What you might end up with is losing the lawsuit and taking care of this blind man for the rest of his life. You're really setting yourself up. You can imagine how much a lot of jurors would not appreciate what you did. Well, it was either that or kill him. Well, it might have been better off to kill him. But I would not use snake shot for self-defense purposes. I mean, if you were in some kind of an emergency where you're out in the woods somewhere, it's all you got left, well, that's different. But to choose that as your choice for home defense, that's not a good idea. So if given a situation where I could only carry one thing, I would rather carry a bear load. I can kill a snake with a bear load if I have to, but I can't kill a bear with a snake load. Follow? That's what that page is all about. Handgun shot shells are very effective in dispatching rattlesnakes and vermin. They are effective for small game from out to about 10 yards max, depending on your caliber. Snake shot are the first choice for signaling, as there is no falling bullet to be dangerous, just tiny pellets. Say what? Yeah, yeah. Talking about the pure snake shot. Handgun shot shells and carbines, they're probably not going to feed. They're not going to feed reliably. It would be unusual if they did. The bottleneck shape on those cartridges is most of the time our pistol caliber carbines are set up for square cases. In other words, they're not what's the word? Flared. They're not bottleneck. They're not bottleneck. So you probably find out easy enough. Just run them through, cycle them through dry, and see what happens. Sometimes they'll break in the action, and you get all those little BBs all in parts of your gun you didn't even know about. So I don't recommend them. I never did figure out what this is. Not a handgun shot shell target. Unless your shot shells are loaded with triple-aught buckshot, 80 caliber balls or something.
I've actually seen one of those, something similar to that, when I took Ryder with the reptile expo.
Wow.
It was huge in that yellow.
Mostly the biggest snakes are about 50 feet. I'm sorry, 30 feet. But recently, some scientists in the Amazon discovered a over 50-foot snake. And you can imagine it's like a 50-foot mussel.
found out a couple things for Utah. Venomous and non-venomous snakes can result in fines of $25,000 per incident and possibly some prison time, even for non-venomous snakes. And it says, even if a snake comes in your yard, you're supposed to make efforts to call animal control. You have to do other things. You can't just say, well, if it's in the yard and my kids are out playing. Like, you really have to make your case. And then, you know, when Larry was talking about having to bury the head, I was reading, you know, if you kill a snake, it's better to kill it in other ways other than just decapitating it. As much as we hate snakes, it's alive, it's like conscious for hours, you know, and it's in pain and trying to defend itself. So that's kind of sad. And then actually, viper snakes are responsible for the most human deaths around the world. Vipers.
So they define what,
It's a saw-scaled viper.
Huh.
I don't know. It's a saw-scaled. And then animals that kill most humans, of course, they mentioned mosquitoes, snakes, and dogs. And dogs, it said, is primarily through rabies, kind of moving rabies.
Huh. Around the world where people don't have a lot of vaccines and stuff.
But definitely you got to know that about Utah and snakes and non-venomous.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah, $25,000? Have to give that some thought. Keep everybody in the house.
Oh, yeah. And biting its own tail.
What time is it?
Yeah, he's good.
Can you pass that over there?
Stacy, did you say they live, the head will live?
Yes, and
Really?
so you'll see what Ron, he's passing around, so somebody decapitated the snake, and the snake is actually biting its tail, and it's, the whole snake is moving. Yeah. Yeah, because they don't, like their heart rate is so low, they don't need much to stay alive. Like I said, as much as we hate snakes, it's like, wow. Kind of sad to feel it.
And they're taking all the fun out of it.
Yeah, they just kill it a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I told you I'd get this.
Oh, can we do one small break? We haven't had a break since long.
Sure. Take a look at these recoil pictures and you go.
Oh.
Check this, 454. He's holding the gun in two hands, but the hands separate. He can't, he's not strong. He's a big guy, you know, he's not a skinny guy. And there's this one. Don't let children, you know.
Barrel is really short for a school. They make it short, bro.
Yeah, then, yeah. It's a 2.5 or 3, I forget.
Wow.
Might be 2.5. But yeah. Yeah, you really, when you get that much power in such a small gun, it's going to be hard to. Okay, that's that. Talk about this stuff when you get back. See you in about 10 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Everybody's been such a good class. Usually by now people are throwing spit wads at me and stuff. We got him.
Yeah, it doesn't know. There's different ones. Yeah, we got on a full. Some, it will be a little bit, but
one of the scenarios that we're gonna do, all of them are based on actual bear attacks. And one of them, maybe it's yeah, India was protecting their snakes till they got to over 50,000 dead a year. And they decided to stop protecting them so much.
They really did have a protected snake thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of their religion.
I thought it was just for cows.
Maybe.
They believe in reincarnation, right? So they think if you're killing a snake, you could be killing your
There,
great grandpa.
there it is. You got it, man.
You did mention at least one instance where a rifle and the bear initially attacked him, hit him, and the rifle ended
Oh,
up
yeah.
yards away.
Huh?
But, I mean, long guns.
Thanks, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I've been looking at two bars, one of them was a white. And because it's chocolate, I don't want to have it, a couple hours before bed.
Yeah.
Chocolate keeps me out. So I was like, I'm gonna try my white chocolate one. It's really good. It has
Was
that
it?
buttery,
Really?
Nice
and smooth.
yeah,
I'll have to give it a go.
that smooth buttery taste.
I gotta get the one.
What's he eating, him? Oh, cookie? Oh, cause I have, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Oh, I just need to stand up and.
I gotta find it.
Huh?
I got it. No, go ahead.
What time do you think we'll be done with the PowerPoint?
What time are we supposed to be done?
We're done with the whole day by 5:30.
Oh, that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, we're not done with the PowerPoint by 5:30 because we debrief.
Okay,
So at least try to be done at 5:15.
okay. You got some great stories, but no, don't have enough class. Oh, you have class? Call me when you have no class. Right, that's it. That's it, right? Thanks, that's cool.
Insurance rating, which I buy by insurance. And then commercial rating, you have a it's year 3. There's also a multi-engine rating,
Yeah.
but the private insurance commercial is kind of the package. The commercial you can get it about 250 hours, so it's a ways out.
Okay.
But you just keep flying until you get the time.
Yeah.
Private and instrument are key. Don't get a private. I wouldn't stop at private. Just keep getting your instrument. Yeah, because that's what inadvertent weather encounters are what kills a lot of pilots where they don't have that instrument training.
Got it. And what's kind of the duration in terms of?
Depends how much time you can give to it. You can knock it out within. If you get private an instrument,
I did it fast, remember?
yeah.
I did it in like 3 months.
He just,
Wow.
he just approached it like it was a full-time job.
I got my private, and then I did this program where it was like a 6-month program.
Uh-huh.
Supposedly, I did my instrument within like 2 months, and then I got my commercial within another month.
Yeah, he had his private though before he went on a mission.
Uh-huh.
He had that in
took
high school,
Private took me actually a year, so I did it like every
part
week.
time.
But if you did it like full-time, all 6 months? you
The
say?
commercial
Yeah.
could take me just 250 hours.
Occupied. Thank you.
No, I'm excited, I'm glad. Yeah. Because it's always kind of
Fine.
scary.
You just go out.
Yeah.
You go down, I'm gonna fly. Like yesterday, I just went out, we had to fly we flew down to,
Okay.
What?
Could have been worse.
Well, yeah, I was hoping it wasn't.
Sitting on the toilet.
I was hoping it wasn't. Oh my gosh. Well, because I'm like, it's on. We heard the water. We heard the paper towels. It's funny out here.
I'm sure it's hysterical.
Well, it is for me.
Is everyone here?
We're here,
Okay, here we go.
Except for Marcelo, but, oh, no, he's here. He's back in, you must have a secret door back there. I just went through. Yeah, you are.
So we're going to go through some incidents. I'm going to go through some different incidents with you, and we'll take our learning points from them. In the first one, we have a hunter named John Hunter, who was one of the big African white hunters back in the day. And he goes out to shoot a buffalo. He's providing camp meat for a village. So he comes upon the buffalo and he goes like this because his gun bearer is supposed to shove the rifle through the opening into his hands. So he sees that buffalo and goes like this. Nothing. He looks. The gun bearer is climbing a tree 50 yards away. The buffalo's coming. He runs to a tree, jumps up, grabs a limb, pulls himself up, and feels a whoosh of air as the buffalo goes just underneath him. But of course, his rifle's somewhere. The gun bearer had dropped it on his way to a tree. So he's up there for a long time, and he has a lot of issues. But what he does is he makes like a fish hook. Oh, his pistol's on the ground. When he jumped into the tree, his pistol fell out, and it's on the ground down there. So he takes off some of his clothes. He makes a dummy with tree branches and stuff. And then he puts that on the other side of the tree, and then when he pulls the string and shakes it, the buffalo runs under this dummy. So he's got that going for him. So now he takes some material from his clothing and gets string and fashions some sort of a hook, and he reaches down and he gets the trigger guard on his 1911. He's got, I think, 7 magazines on his belt. No gun. So he finally hooks his pistol, and very slowly manages to pull it up and get it. Now he shakes the dummy. When the buffalo runs underneath him, he shoots boom, 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 boom. You're just shooting him straight down into his back, up here, down into the chest. And he goes through all of his ammunition, 50 rounds. The buffalo is still on his feet. There's a 230 FMJ, so every once in a while the buffalo would go lay down and then he'd move a little bit and he'd get up again. So we finally decided the buffalo is hurting bad enough. I think I can get to my rifle. So he drops out of the tree, runs to his rifle. The buffalo gets up and starts to come. But he's got his elephant gun, so he kills it. I said, no, next shot would be the gun bearer. Shot number 2. Anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting story. So what are the rules? What are the learning points? Carry your own stuff. Yeah, don't. Well, that's a related modern equivalent. Off-duty policeman and his wife in a restaurant eating. He gives her, before they leave the house, he gives her his revolver and says, here, put this in your purse. 3 guys come in with guns and pull an armed robbery right in front of them. Just give me my gun. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna order
So they're in an argument, which is attracting the attention of the criminals about what to do about his gun. She won't give up. She won't give him his gun because she's afraid he'll take action and you know, who knows? Maybe he'll get hurt, she'll get hurt, who knows? Anyway, eventually the robbers left and his wife gave him his gun back. Carry your own stuff, right? Good lesson. We've got a bunch of shootings here. I wish I had about another hour to go through a bunch of these different incidents, not bear attacks. But I'll do the best I can from memory so it'll go quicker. In the first one, we have a hunter who's carrying a Glock 10 millimeter. I'm sorry, the guide is carrying a Glock 10 millimeter pistol. The hunter, I believe, was an archery hunter. The hunter shoots an animal, a mule deer, whatever it is, and they go out to start field dressing the deer. A mama bear and 2 grown cubs come out of the woods and they attack the guide. The guide had taken his gun off, set it somewhere because he didn't want to get blood on it. Blood's corrosive, you know, whatever. So he couldn't get to his gun, and the mama bears got him and mauling him. He tells the guide, get my pistol. He tells the hunter, get my pistol. The hunter knows even less about the gun than the guide does, because the guide carries no round in his chamber because he doesn't think that's safe. So he's got a magazine in the gun, but no round in the chamber. So now the hunter's got the gun. He comes over to shoot the bear. Click, no round in the chamber. So he thinks, oh, the safety's on. The safety must be on. So stupid he thinks that he didn't fire. If its safety was stopping it from firing, he wouldn't get the striker sound, right? And anyway, so he's trying to figure out where the safety is. So he's pushing and pushing everything, and he pushes the magazine release, and the magazine's on the ground. Now, with no magazine in the gun and no round in the chamber, he throws the gun to the guide. What's he going to do with it? He has no ammunition. So now, no other, he doesn't see what to do now. He leaves. He said, I was going to go for help. Well, if that help was more than about 20 yards away, he'll be dead before you get back. In other words, I'm not going to participate in this fight. I'll just say I was going for help. And he does nothing to help the guide. The guide is killed. So there's just a whole bunch of lessons in there. Carry it around in the chamber. Don't take the frickin' gun off. We have pistols because we can wear them. It's bad enough when you set your rifle aside. You don't set your pistol aside, you wear it. Jeff said, how many people have died just out of reach of a pistol that they should have been wearing? Anyway, the purpose of the pistol is to protect us from unexpected attack. Then we don't leave it hanging from a branch somewhere. Anyway, that was a real tragic deal. That guide was a very popular guide. And a lot of people were really upset. He lost his life over that. There's another one. Guide, 10 millimeter. He doesn't carry a full magazine. His friends are all gun experts, and they told him don't keep the magazine full because the springs will take set and then the gun will malfunction. How many policemen are in the United States right now walking around with a gun on their hip, a Glock, with a fully loaded magazine that's been fully loaded for a month or 2 or 3? And how many of them are going to have malfunctions? None. So he's only got 10 rounds in the magazine instead of 16 or whatever it is. So he ends up getting involved in the same kind of deal. They're gutting an animal. Bear comes, attacks him. He's fighting with the bear. He's shooting the bear. he runs out of ammunition. Your friends are all gun experts. Just ask them. People take their information and their guidance from people they probably shouldn't. So this same thing, this guy lost his life. He'd shot the bear 10 times, but the bear still had enough left to kill him. And he should have had 6 more shots. But he'd been convinced that you don't want to carry a fully loaded gun. Yes, sir.
I've heard that. Metal is my favorite. A spring loses compression over a lifetime of being actuated, or metal fatigue. Compressing a spring, leaving it compressed, will never expand. It will never. I don't know whether.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that from you.
Because I've heard the same thing. That's really helpful.
That's utter nonsense.
That's good.
Actuated a lot, eventually the metal will fatigue, like any, but you compress the spring, I think it's gonna lose its spring. It's just utter rubbish.
That's so good to hear. Because I've heard that lie too.
Some nincompoops, common sense, I think. Doesn't know.
When Jeff Cooper went to war in World War II with the Marine Corps, he left a 1911 .38 Super Caliber pistol with 5 fully loaded magazines in a drawer for his wife. Came back 5 years later. Took those magazines in that pistol, went out and shot him, ran through all the shots in all the magazines, not one glitch. Those were left loaded, fully loaded for 5 years. Even if there is some loss of, ability.
Springs do wear out, but over.
And the spring is supposed to be designed to be at something like 160% as powerful as it needs to be. So if it does lose some of its power over time, it still should function. So I've had magazines that I've left for long periods of time, and they still worked. So those there's some learning points in those things. Let me look at my outline for a second. Well, this one's not so much of a learning point. This is an incident we're going to replicate on the range. And this is an actual incident that I've learned about some years back. A retired police officer bought property in a rural area where he built a home. And he would go out and walk his property. He had few acres of woodland. And one day he's out walking and he gets jumped by a bear. The bear mauls him up pretty good and then walks away, as they tend to do. It's kind of like, I guess I showed him, and they'll just sometimes just walk off. He gets his .41 Magnum, draws his gun, and waits. Sure enough, the bear comes back. When the bear comes back, he kills it with his revolver. A lot of times the bear will leave and come back because they're going to check on cubs. A mama bear will chew you up a little bit, leave you, check on the cubs, come back, chew you some more. So just something to be aware of. We do simulate this on the range. We have you laying in different positions with the bear target out there, and we say that's the bear's returning. You've gotten your pistol out of the holster, then you're going to engage the target. It's one of the scenarios that we do.
want to mention what happens to long guns typically?
Yes. Almost every case I've seen where somebody with a long gun is hit by a bear, the gun tends to end up 20, 30 feet away. The bear swats that gun, swats his hands, his arms, his gun, that bear, that rifle or whatever, it's gone. And you may or may not be able to get to it. Which again, with a pistol, if you got a decent holster, that's a lot less likely to be lost in that manner. Oh, I've got another one where this guy was an Eskimo, an Indian, something. He lived up in Alaska, in a village, and he was hunting bear, and he shot a bear with his .30-30, and the bear dropped as if he was hit over the head with an axe. He shot that .30-30, that bear just went down flat and stayed, didn't move. So he took his time, approached the bear, had his big skinning knife ready to go. And then as he got it right up to the bear was playing possum. Bear came back to life and mauled him something fierce. I think he lost at least one eye, among other things. But he ended up killing that bear with that skinning knife. The bear he was on his back on the ground, the bear was over. He just kept plunging that knife up into the bear. Never quit. If he would have quit, he would have been eaten. Never give up. How do we carry our spare ammunition? Well, autos is pretty simple. It's additional magazines, right? You can have different kinds of ammunition. One thing you might want to do is color the floor plates. So a green floor plate on your magazine means hollow points, or a red floor plate on your magazine means the tracers, or whatever it is. So you've got them color coded so you can quickly, you don't have to take them out and look at the cartridge. You can look at the base of the magazine and know what's what. Now revolvers are a little more complicated. If you just have belt loops, little loops on your belt, leather, where the cartridges just kind of slide into the loops, the rim keeps them there. That's not bad, but it's not quick, and they're exposed to the elements and potentially being lost. Speed loaders are okay for double action guns, but they generally you're going to have to use a certain kind of projectile to get them to feed in. Trying to get wad cutters to line up with your chambers, real difficult. So you want to use hollow points in a speed loader. But there's moon clips, wallet packs, all different kinds of ways that we can carry ammunition. Figure out what works for you, what you can function well with, and practice it. Wallet packs. I've got a number of wallet packs. They're great, but not for reloading the gun. Take the wallet pack out, take the cartridges out of the wallet pack, put them in the gun. It's a little awkward. But if you're going to carry 75 rounds, for example, you might want to have about half of that in wallet packs. They're not going to be quick to get to, but usually you only need to get to a few quickly. On the lever action rifle, we recommend that you put on the butt stock of the rifle on the off side, if I'm right-handed, on the right side, a leather cartridge carrier or some kind of a cartridge carrier. So if you grab the rifle and run with it, you've got the rounds in the magazine, plus you've got a full reload on the side of the gun that you can transfer as needed. So on several of my lever action rifles, I have cartridge carriers. So this is what I was just talking about, a butt cuff on the belt and in the backpack. So I used to keep one on the side of the rifle. And it's very quick to go from here to here. Just going from the cartridge carrier on the buttstock to the magazine tube is just a few inches. We will see people with ammo on belts of ammo attached to their sling. That's not a good idea. You throw the rifle up, and you could wait for a couple minutes for that weight to stop swinging around, and you're sure not going to be able to shoot with it. It's just one of those ideas that doesn't work out in real life. This is a speed loader for a .454. You can get speed loaders for almost any caliber revolver. A moon clip. This is called a moon clip. We're always careful about the word clip. But a clip is something that holds cartridges, but it's not a box with a spring in it. A box with a spring in it is a magazine. Usually a clip is a flat piece of metal, and you take your cartridge, put the rim into the slot, slide it down until it's full. Then you use that stripper clip to load magazines. So you put the stripper clip at the back of the magazine and push the cartridges directly from the stripper clip into the box magazine. So now we're talking about revolver clips. This device right here holds 6 cartridges for this, 5 or 6. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 5. Oh yeah, they're so hard. You have to have a tool to get them out of there. Yeah, you shoot the gun with those in the gun. So you just put the whole thing up, just drop it in. It's a little faster than a speed loader. But when you're done, you just eject it. If you don't need it, leave it. If you need it, pick it up. And when you get the opportunity, you have to leverage those cases out of the stripper clip and replace the cartridges. They can be tough to manipulate, but they're not gonna, the cartridges aren't gonna fall out of there. This comes out of World War I. So what happened was, we were making .45 caliber revolvers to issue to our troops. Well, we switched, then John Browning 1911 became the standard pistol. So now we've got our pistol, semi-automatic pistol with magazines, but we don't have enough of them. We were dismally short of weapons. So they decided, well, we'll just have these revolver guys make ammunition for our .45 automatic that goes in their gun. Well, how are we going to do that? How are we going to, because one's a rimmed cartridge and one's a rimless cartridge. How are we going to get those cartridges to stay in the chamber and not fall through? So somebody came up with this. It's very inexpensive, easy to produce. You put the cartridges for the .45 automatic in there, just as you see these right here. And then you can eject all your brass and load all your chambers at once. So not only did it give them a way to do it, but it gave them a more efficient way to do it. So these are still used. You can still buy them, and they're still popular with some competition shooters and different people. This is a regular speed loader. There's two kinds. One of them you turn a knob to release the cartridges, and one you just push the speed loader against the cylinder and the cartridges will pop out and go in. This is a strip loader. So it's flat, it's single stack, it's a single file. You can carry it in a shirt pocket, it's so small. And then you can load 2 rounds at a time, just like he's doing right now, out of that strip loader. So it's just another way to carry ammunition for a revolver. This is a wallet pack. It's just the only picture I have of a wallet pack is 22 rimfires, but this is a wallet pack, and they'll 44 mag. It'll hold something like 18 cartridges. You just stick it in your back pocket or your backpack, so you have more ammunition to go to. If you're loading from loops, you can still load 2 at a time. If I'm loading my double action revolver from belt loops, I can eject everything, and I can pull 2 cartridges off if I know how to grip them and put them both in at the same time. So I only have to go to my belt 3 times instead of 6 times. I learned this by accident at Gunsight. I was going to Gunsight. You can go, when you were an instructor there, which I still am, usually they'll give you 1 free class a year. You can take a class once a year as a student. So I decided to take the basic 5-day defensive pistol course and shoot cowboy guns. So I took Ruger single action revolvers and I went and I shot the class. Anyway, I didn't shoot the class. I shot no one there, I promise. Anyway, why did I bring it up? Oh yeah, what I learned was I could take a magazine for a 45 auto. So I'm shooting 45 ACP revolver. I could take a magazine for a 45 auto and just strip the cartridges from the magazine into the chambers and load very quickly. I could load my revolver cylinder faster than I could otherwise by using a semi-automatic magazine. Thought that was interesting. These are some of the combinations where you could do that. So I don't know how well you can see that, but he's got a magazine in his hand and he's stripping cartridges from the magazine into the firing chambers. How about an illumination device attached to your pistol? Think that's a good idea? What's the downside of an illumination device attached to your pistol? I'm sorry? Weight, yeah. Weight can also help with recoil. So it's a two-way street. It's weight you got to carry all the time. A lot of times, yeah, you'd have to get a holster that's designed for that gun with that light. Yes. But the positive, this in a shooting is not the easiest thing to do. The Harry's flashlight technique is the one we used and taught for years. My partner and I used it to shoot a suspect. Flashlight back of the hand, but it's a little bit difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do. Illumination device on your pistol, people say, well, somebody just shoots at the light, you're going to be behind the light. If you're going to use a light, that's always going to be true. Doesn't matter if you're holding it or it's attached to your pistol or wherever it is. if they shoot at the light and you're behind the light, you're in trouble. So the illumination device attached to your pistol isn't any worse. It isn't any more dangerous than doing this. The good side is you can manipulate the light and the pistol together very well and very easily. And if you're in a campground, there's no street lights. In other words, if you're in a situation with a predatory animal, the bear's not going to shoot at your light, so that goes away. We don't have to worry about that. All we have to concern ourselves with, we can hit the target and not hit somebody else. And what might help us to do that? That light. I'm very big on putting lights on woods guns because there's not a lot of local electronic lighting. And we know we've already talked about several cases where somebody shot their spouse or their friend trying to shoot a bear. So that maybe would be part of the solution. So we're pretty adamant that putting a light on your woods gun is a good idea if you can do it. Here's another thing. If your light extends out past the end of your muzzle and you're in a struggle, you're wrestling around with the bear and you push the gun into the bear, the light will contact and the muzzle will not. It will still fire. That gives you standoff. You follow? Remember we talked about that? You shove your gun into a bear in a fight, and it malfunctions the gun, and it activates an internal safety, so you can't shoot anyway. But if you have that light sticking out just past the barrel, you might shove the gun and light into the bear and shoot, and it worked just fine. Because the flashlight's going to keep your barrel that far from the contact. You're writing all this down, right? Yeah. Generally, a little bit of weight, a couple ounces, it'll help you manage the recoil just a little bit. And it really, it's more good than bad. Talked about this. Close contact. We are going to teach you, if you haven't already done it with us, we're going to teach you close contact shooting. We're going to do simulations on a bear attack where you're going to go to close contact. Remember your close contact from your presentation, right? Grip, close contact, guard. We're going to have you shooting from that position. If you had a laser aiming device on your pistol that was activated when you gripped it, and you hit that close contact, you could you could put that dot wherever you wanted it to make sure you don't miss the bear or hit somebody else. So just keep that in mind. The laser aiming device, something I normally shy away from. For a woods gun, not so much. I'm a little more open to that. So this is a summary. If you are faced with an outdoor emergency, you can increase your opportunity to survive, turn an emergency into an inconvenience if you are armed with an appropriate firearm, which is loaded with the correct ammunition, and you are carrying sufficient ammunition for signaling purposes, and You have the skill, training, and mindset to prevail. Preparation, as in most things, preparation is the key to success. Most of the things that we try to learn and try to accomplish and do, it's the preparation that makes it doable. And when we see people, like you guys probably heard me say this in Basic Pistol, when you see people doing brilliant things, even though their life's on the chopping block, how's that possible? Prevent decision making, preparation. They've thought about it, they've worked it through, they've considered options. And now when the moment comes, I know what to do about this because I've already resolved this in my mind. Just flip the switch and go. So those are my summary words. Thank you for attending. Any questions about anything we covered today or even didn't cover today? Good?
Thank you, Larry. Great job.
Thanks, safety. She got Stacy. She got me out of bed this morning. I'd still be there. No, just kidding. We look forward to these classes. I can't tell you how much we do. We absolutely look forward to it. It's a high point of our week. All right, Stace, got anything?
What do we could range?
Everything that you took to Basic Pistol, except hopefully snake shot. If you can swing it, yep, bring your dummy rounds. If you can acquire one little box of CCI snake shot or one little box of double tap snake shot, we can do some real good testing for you and your gun. Make sure you see exactly which load your gun prefers, how big. You need to know how big the patterns are at different distances. At certain distance, it becomes useless. But you need to know what that is. You're gonna have a chance to test all these things out. So do your best. Or if you find somebody that says, "Oh yeah, we got tons of that stuff," let us know so we can pass the word. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Okay. It's time to debrief. It's time to debrief today's training. So what do you think about what you learned today? Hopefully, something. What was the most significant thing you learned? Maybe you had an epiphany. Maybe something came to you that you never thought about before.
With a lot of these guys, I don't have a huge armoring budget. I'm not going to go out and buy a whole bunch of new guns. I'm kind of stuck with what I have, pretty much. Was the type of ammunition taken as well. I've been carrying hollow points every time I go up to the States just because that's what's already in my firearm. I haven't really thought about that, so definitely something new. With some of the Hardcats lead.
What?
I'll be going up some of those
Oh.
Hardcat lead.
Oh yeah. What caliber?
Probably for my 9. I have to carry 45 ACP. I'm showing you all. I do have a 357 as well.
Double tap makes a good bear load for the 357. I don't know if anybody else does. Everybody else is probably F&J, but double tap makes a 180 grain hard cast lead 357. That's about the best you're going to get. And who else learned something today? Sir?
So that's actually really informative. Also, the little tidbits of dropping to a knee. I thought that was really interesting. You think about a moving target coming toward you, and your chances of being inaccurate are, as that range is, it's just another something that's very interesting. Never forget that. And then even camping, you know, we spent a lot of time with the scouts, and we'd always have a designator. We would usually have, just by default, 2 shooters. But it was never, I never thought about that, the importance of having 2, just to be able to, you know, even in a self-defense against the 2-legged violent animals, having 2 people that are 2 shooters anytime you go out, because even a 2-legged predator could take out that shooter, and you gotta have another one ready. So just some good things.
Well, if I could follow up on that, remember from some of your last class, diagonal deployment. If you have 2 shooters, you get diagonal deployment. Now your aggressor can face one of you or face the other. He cannot face you both at the same time. Well, that's a huge tactical advantage. And that, but without 2 people, without 2 shooters, you don't have that possibility.
And looking at it, what I can shoot well is my 9. And it's easier to conceal, it's gonna be on my waist. I think I'm gonna move into the 10 millimeter. I don't have any 10 millimeter. I'm now, funny, before I went to your classes, I went out and bought all sorts of calibers, all these different guns. I've got a whole safes of them, right? And I'm like, I've got a different mindset now. I think, no, I wanna have guns that I can shoot well. They're tools. I've got a lot of pretty guns, but I'm not gonna go rely on those pretty guns. I'm honing down to, you know, I'm looking at a few key calibers and types of weapon systems. It's been helpful. But the 10 millimeter is a new one, I think. But for practicality, I'll still go out with my 9 because I can pack it easily. It's not, I can conceal it, and I can put some little more power behind it with the right ammunition. And then also the shotgun is key. So I'd almost, personally, I carry my 9 and then a shotgun with me, the slugs. When I go out. The A70 is not that bad, Gary. I like the A70.
Yeah, but 8.5 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. And then you have a shoulder weapon. So just that combination.
Yeah, you should always carry 2 guns anyway. If you decide you don't want to be bothered with a shotgun or a rifle, you should still think about a backup gun for your primary carry gun. You never know, things happen. You fall into a river and you lose your gun. Well, hopefully you got another one.
Running into a tree.
Yeah.
Being chased by a water buffalo or a African buffalo. Jeff Cooper's hobby was hunting African buffalo. He would try to go every year. He just loved it. That was his thing. Okay, anyone else learn something today that they would maybe have a comment about? Yes.
You first.
Okay, well, kind of an epiphany for me was the, like the heavier bullets I knew, you know, they don't shoot flat in short range, but it didn't occur to me that they would in long range. I really liked that. Kind of cool, like I said, it did, I don't know. Ballistics is more your thing, but, yeah, like I said, it didn't occur to me that it would. It just seems still like it would just drop faster than shoot is flat. Anyways, but I also liked the method you came up with, because it's universal, like, you know, do 3 whistles or 3 shots or 3 whatever, but not do, you know, 3 shots and then wait 3 minutes and 3 shots, wait 3 minutes to do that 3 times. Like all the 3s, because when you're that desperate and you're under stress, that is a good system, and it's easy to remember that, because you might just do it once, but then it's not enough. But it's easy to remember the 3, the 3, and the 3. Yeah, so I like that. And you can do that with anything, not just the shot.
Yeah,
You
whistle.
can do it with the whistle. You can do it with the horn honking, or and then just, you know, stay put most of the time. Stay put.
Yes.
Especially if it's like the ground to air type signals. You know, just stay put.
People that get into trouble in the outback almost always fail to stay put, and it makes it harder for people to find them. They just keep. I know if I just go over here a little bit farther, I'll find the trail, you know. And they keep getting suckered into it and get more lost. Once you realize you're lost, sit down. That's a basic concept.
Well, right, the first 3 shots, no one would think anything of it. But if you started having a pattern, then I think our minds would pick up, hey, that's a weird pattern, and the time is exactly the same. Kind of like an ELT on an airplane, emergency locator transmitter. You know, it has a, you know, you test that, and you know, just think of you test about a certain time of every hour. Plane goes down, it triggers an ELT, and that signal, I mean, it's different, but I think of it the same with what you're doing with the firearm, sending a signal with an echo through the canyon. Now, finding somebody, that's going to be challenging, right? In a mountain range, how do you find somebody with that echo ringing through the canyon? You know, somebody might be missing. But,
Tracers.
yeah, have some tracers.
If you see it, especially if you've got a message out, you know, you got a message out, then hopefully people are looking for you, and you see an aircraft or a helicopter or an airplane. Tracers. Unless you can't possess them. Very good. Who's next?
Everything for me, because I don't know anything. That's the truth.
Well, Robert knows a hell of a lot of things that I don't know, so we'll call it even.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I got was like, you know, in the bear encounter, whatever, I kind of just thought like, oh, just shoot at it. But depending on the type of like weapon you're carrying or caliber, you have to like shooting it in the shoulder. I don't really think of that. If bear shoulder damage, it's like, oh, just shoot it in the head. But if your bullets aren't thick enough, they won't like penetrate. So sometimes you have to like, you know, angle off and shoot somewhere else.
Just a few weeks ago, there was another bear attack. Damn things. Anyway, the guy was bow hunting for elk, but he must have had a premonition or something. But for months before his hunt came up, he was going out and he'd practice with his bow for an hour, and then he'd do dry practice or occasionally live fire with his Glock. He bought a Glock 10 millimeter. And he practiced his draw. He got really fast and really quick to get his gun from his woods holster to on target. And sure enough, I can't remember, they've already shot an elk, whatever it is, but all of a sudden, this grizzly comes out of the brush, charging right at him. Said, I knew what was going to happen. I was ready. He fired 7 shots initially, within a couple of seconds, about 2 seconds, and he got some pretty good hits. Put the bear down. Yeah. He credited his practice with survival. He said he survived because he'd done all that practice, and he said he never thought about it. As soon as he realized the bear was coming, he automatically went for his pistol. He didn't remember drawing his pistol. He just practiced it so much it was just a reflexive action. Good one. That was a good one. Every Friday, there's a channel called if I think of it, I'll give it to you, but it's Chooks Outdoor Adventures. Chooks Outdoor Adventures. He does a lot of reports on bear attacks, and he especially loves reports when people stop bears with pistols. And he's experienced. He lives in Alaska. He does a lot of hunting, and he's.
What channel?
Oh.
YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel. Chooks Outdoor Adventures. Anyway, there's a lot of channels that have, pertinent programming like, what was the one I said, the bears, no, the bears. Yeah.
Remember you saying it, 'cause I listened to that one too.
Anyway, yes, sir.
I really like, your guidelines, if you see a bear, if you see a bear 100 yards, get your gun out, bear 50 feet, and it's aggressive, start shooting. When he starts charging at 100 feet, start shooting. And then I like with the tracers too, where he said, tracers are most visually seeing, late afternoon or, late morning. So if you're lost and someone's looking for you, you don't want to find your tracer spot, middle of the day, where the sun's really high.
Unless you have an aircraft that you can see or hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, really interesting. Really like.
Good. Got some useful material?
Yep.
So you still have this book to read, right? And you're gonna, I'm sure you'll have questions. If you get into that book and you have a question, just make a note or something and just let us know. We'll help you with it. So there's a ton of information in the book.
Yeah, Larry, just 3 comments. Echo what everyone else said, but there's other things. Things that I normally just going out hiking, mountain biking, or whatever, right? Because it's not like, you change some, I mean, maybe like, you still might have something that you can see it. But I'm just thinking, out in some of the chest rate, but not exposed, where it's somewhat concealed, because that goes to the point where, hey, ride your mountain bike, people see you, you got an open gun, it's a chest rate, but still, it's gonna probably take people out, still have it, but it's somewhat concealed. So that's something that I'm kind of processing, thinking about. Because even when I was hiking, and this is low deep trailhead, up there in Suncrest, on the mountain lion tracks. I was actually hiking with a group of people, and one of the ladies, she's a biologist for the fish and game. We were coming across, and mountain lions up there. That goes to the point of, you think things are safe.
We had cougar in our neighborhood there, where the big something.
Okay, so maybe that's what it was.
Some lady woke up and had a cougar laying out on her picnic table in the backyard.
Yeah, so
Get the dogs.
pop up on something like that, but if you're not carrying, we're not prepared, you don't have the mindset on these unexpected threats, you could be caught off guard, and get yourself hurt. The other thing is being able to shoot at distance. I've always wondered how these guys are able, with a revolver, somehow or whatever, 100 yards, 200 yards, they're hitting steel. How the hell do they do? You gotta shoot it like an artillery round. Well, but you brought up kind of deflated, right? And they're just canning the rear side down. Granted, they practiced it enough to kind of know where it's at, but to be able to do that, so that was actually good to learn. That when you blade the sight still on the target that you can see, and you just rotate the gun downward.
Yep. Lower your rear sight.
Yeah.
That will give you that up angle launch. Yeah.
Boss, I got head out.
Okay.
He's got a meeting.
Okay, sorry.
All right, you're good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'll see you in a few days. See you soon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Take it easy.
What's that? Unfortunately, I've got flights all this weekend, so I won't be able to be there.
Reschedule them.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Everybody's free to go. If you have any questions, don't forget the safety rules.
Yep.
So.
Be prepared.
Thank you so much, you guys. Oh, and if you could do me a favor, just, fold up your chairs and lean them up against those boxes right there. Just take your chair, that's all. And if you have to go, go ahead.